regardless of what the verdict may be. That is a sign of respect for this jury that has worked now for 5.5 days to come to its verdicts, and those verdicts must be received without interruption or disturbance. So I'd ask all in the audience to please refrain from any expressions with regard to the verdicts that are rendered by the jury. If there are such outbursts, our court officers are instructed to remove the offending party, please. Chief, if you would.
All rise. Jury entering. Jury and the defendant remain standing, please. All others, please be seated. Thank you.
Mr. Sheehan.
Members of the jury, have you agreed upon your verdicts?
Yes.
May I have the verdict slips, please? Thank you.
You get scissors.
May I inquire?
You may.
What say you, Madam Foreperson? On indictment 2014-10417, offense 001, charging murder in the first degree, victim Daniel D. Abreu. You find the defendant not guilty, guilty of murder in the first degree, or guilty of murder in the second degree?
Not guilty.
What say you, Madam Foreperson? On indictment 2014-10417, offense 002, charging murder in the first degree, victim Zafiro Furtado. Do you find the defendant not guilty, guilty of murder in the first degree, or guilty of murder in the second degree?
Not guilty.
What say you, Madam Foreperson, on indictment 2014-10417, offense 003, charging armed assault with intent to murder, victim Aquilino Freire. Do you find the defendant not guilty, or guilty of this offense as charged?
Not guilty.
What say you, Madam Foreperson, on indictment 2014-10417, offense 004, charging armed assault with intent to murder, victim Gerson Lopes. Do you find the defendant not guilty, or guilty of the offense as charged?
Not guilty.
What say you, Madam Foreperson, on indictment 2014-10417, offense 005, charging armed assault with intent to murder, victim Rashidi Sanchez. Do you find the defendant not guilty, or guilty of the offense as charged?
Not guilty.
What say you, Madam Foreperson, on indictment 2014-10417, offense 006, charging assault and battery by means of a dangerous weapon, to wit, a firearm, victim Aquilino Freire. Do you find the defendant not guilty, or guilty of this offense as charged?
Not guilty.
What say you, Madam Foreperson, on indictment 2014-10417, offense 007, charging possession of a firearm, not home, work, no license, to wit, a .38 caliber revolver, the date of July 16, 2012. Do you find the defendant not guilty or guilty of the offense as charged?
Guilty of the offense as charged.
And what say you, Madam Foreperson, on indictment 2015-10384, offense 001, charging witness intimidation. Do you find the defendant not guilty or guilty of the offense as charged?
Not guilty.
Members of the jury, hearken to your verdicts as the court has recorded it. You, upon your oath, do say that in indictment 2014-10417, offense 001, charging the defendant with murder in first degree, victim Daniel D. Abreu, you find him not guilty. With respect to indictment 2014-10417, offense 002, charging murder in the first degree, victim Safiro Furtado, you say the defendant is not guilty. On indictment 2014-10417, offense 003, charging armed assault with intent to murder, victim Aquilino Freire, you find the defendant not guilty. With respect to indictment 2014-10417, offense 004, charging armed assault with intent to murder, victim Gerson Lopes, you find the defendant not guilty. With respect to indictment 2014-10417, offense 005, charging armed assault with intent to murder, victim Mercedes Sanchez, you find the defendant not guilty. With respect to indictment 2014-10417, offense 006, charging assault and battery by means of a dangerous weapon, to wit, firearm, victim Aquilino Freire, you find the defendant not guilty. With respect to indictment 2014-10417, offense 007, charging possession of a firearm, not home, work, no license, to wit, a .38 caliber revolver, the date of July 16, 2012. You say the defendant is guilty of this offense as charged. And with respect to indictment 2015-10384, offense 001, charging witness intimidation, you find the defendant not guilty. So say you, Madam Foreperson?
Yes.
So say you, all members of the jury?
Yes.
Your Honor, may the verdict slips be filed.
They may. Please be seated. Let me say to all jurors, both our deliberating jurors and our alternates, how much I thank you for the time that you have given to this case, now approaching 2 months in duration since we first saw all of you. You have given, you've made an enormous sacrifice in giving us your time and your attention, and I thank you for it. I thank you on behalf of the parties. I thank you on behalf of the court. You have faithfully discharged your duty in this case. To our deliberating jurors, by my count, you spent approximately 37 hours staring at one another and reviewing the evidence in this case and coming to an agreement upon that evidence and what that evidence showed. And I thank you again on behalf of the parties and the court for your careful attention to the evidence and your deliberations. Your service is now concluded, and you will be discharged with the thanks of the court. And having served here, you are all now disqualified from jury service for the next 3 years. So we cannot again impose on you until, what will it be, early 2020. I'm going to ask if the jurors would return to the jury room. I'd like to come up and speak with you personally. But your service now is formally concluded, and you are discharged with the thanks of the court. Jurors may be excused.
All rise, please. Jurors, please step out. Please be seated.
Commonwealth.
Your Honor, the one offense the defendant was found guilty on, the Commonwealth moves for sentencing.
Do you want to be heard?
Commonwealth requests not less than 4 no more than 5 years from an active sentence now being served.
Defense?
Defense would ask for 2 years.
Based on the evidence that's been presented and on the jury's verdict, I'm imposing a sentence of 4 to 5 years at state prison, and that should run separate and distinct from any other sentence the defendant is now serving or to be served on the Bristol County case. That is, this is from and after any other sentence. Anything further?
Not on behalf of Mr. Hernandez, Your Honor.
Very good. The court is in recess. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on, David. Mr. Sheehan has to make the formal announcements and discharge the defendant as to all other counts.
Aaron Hernandez, the jury having returned verdicts of not guilty with respect to indictment 2014-10417, offenses 001 and 002, each charging murder in the first degree, offenses 003, 004, and 005, each charging armed assault with intent to murder, offense 006, charging assault and battery by means of a dangerous weapon, and on indictment 2015-10384, offense 001, charging witness intimidation. With respect to these indictment offenses, the court orders you formally discharged, and you are to go without day unless held on some other process. The jury having returned a verdict of guilty with respect to indictment 2014-10417, offense 007, charging possession of a firearm, not homework, no license. The court, in consideration of this offense, orders you committed to the Massachusetts Correctional Institution at Cedar Junction for a term of not more than 5 years and not less than 4 years. That is to commence from and after the sentence now serving out of Bristol County on docket 13-00983. You're notified of your right to appeal to the Appellate Division of the Superior Court within 10 days for a review of the sentence. You are notified of your right to appeal the judgments of this case to the Appeals Court pursuant to Rule 65 within 30 days for a review of this verdict. You are notified of your obligation to provide a DNA sample if you haven't already done so, and to comply with all the rules and regulations established by the Director of the Massachusetts State Police Crime Lab. And the court deems you to have served 322 days while awaiting disposition of this matter. That is calculated from the date of May 28, 2014 up until April 15th of 2015. The court imposes a $90 victim witness fee, and at this time, sir, you stand committed.
We're in recess.
All right.
I got it.